Hey guys, so I was in the middle of something. I was putting together a web page for this event that me and some of my friends put together this year. I actually made two events happen this year. I'm really happy and excited about that. But anyway, I was in the flow, in the creative flow on this project, and I got interrupted. And I don't like getting interrupted, but I am practicing another level of sort of just going with what's coming through. And I think this is one of the main teachings that I've been in practice of during my Saturn return, which is sort of coming to a close here in a couple of months. So I want to share it with you. And I'm going to do that by talking to you a little bit about some of the things that are happening in the sky right now. So I've put my other project on pause, uh, and I'm going to come in here and tell you about this grand water trine. Maybe I should say first that I'm using astrological archetypes to talk about these things. If they don't work for you, that's totally fine. I just find them helpful. There are other systems and other ways to talk about these processes. Ultimately, these are things happening within the collective consciousness or our psyche. A lot of people believe that we are in the psyche is not in us. And the cosmos is a community of beings. So it would make sense that the planets energetically affect us in some way, shape, or form. If you don't jive with that, that's totally cool. But I do find it helpful. I believe that there is a lot of programming that we have been under for a really long time. And a lot of us are coming out of that programming in our own ways, on our own timelines and everything. That's all fine. But throughout my exploration of what is going on, which first started um, intellectually, and then it was more politically charged. And I have been zooming out, and it's been helpful for me to look at these things on astrological timelines because I think one of the things I really struggled with was needing things to make sense immediately, or sort of the longest time period I could really conceive of was about a year. And so talking about the planets in this way helps me think about things on longer timelines. Some people like to say time isn't real. That's fine. Um, but it could also be that time just works differently than the ways that we were fed through the Gregorian calendar, through rational, linear models of thinking. So another way to think about it is that time may be cyclical, or time just isn't real in the way that we, have been fed. So, okay, with all of that, we currently have this grand water trine in the sky. This is going to be very supportive of deep exploration of the emotions, the feelings, especially through your body. I talk about this a lot, but we have been taught to push our feelings away. A lot of the time, this is related to our survival needs. So as children, we might have had to push away the feelings so that we could be whoever we needed to be so that we could survive. For a lot of you, you've cultivated the safety around you to where you recognize that you don't need those coping mechanisms anymore. However, they may still be deeply embedded. And that's okay. We're in a process, for a lot of us, we're in a process of unembedding them. And that process is not easy, but one of the reasons I'm sharing with you this water trine is because it is extremely supportive of being with those difficult feelings. There's a situation with some spiritual teachings where certain people will label certain emotions as higher vibration, and they will label things like fear, pain, anger, rage, any kind of suffering as lower vibration. And it's not that I don't think it's not that there's no truth in it, but I think what it does is has us sort of gaslight ourselves sometimes into um, jumping to the end of the road, or where we believe, like how we believe we would feel at the end of the road. And I don't want to tell anyone that they're right or wrong about anything that they do, but I just want to point out that if you push feelings down, they become deeper embedded. If you deny the way that you feel, if you know conceptually that you need to forgive X, Y, or Z person for the thing that they did to you, but you can't do it yet because you haven't really heard what that hurt part of you is trying to communicate, you're deeply embedding that more so. And right now it's a really good time to allow those things to come up. And I'm not telling you that it's going to feel good. I'm not telling you that it's going to feel like you're having this beautiful, expansive, mystical experience. Sometimes this is just going to be you're standing in the kitchen and crying and eating, whatever it is that you like to eat I'm speaking for myself here, but it's not going to always feel like a spiritual experience in the sense that if you are expecting spiritual experiences to always feel good and light and affirming. Okay, that's one of the things. If we want everything to be affirming of ourselves, chances are there's something that we're pushing down, there's something that we're blocking out. And I do believe that you can get to a state where you're feeling more. So you're feeling these beautiful feeling states of being in the flow and allowing the creativity to flow through you. But in my experience, that requires really allowing yourself to be within the depths and listen to the parts of you that are still unheard, that are still feeling unsafe to be seen, that are still feeling like they don't have a right to exist. So it's not that I'm trying to knock anyone's spiritual teaching down. I think it's great, a lot of the things that people are trying to share. But I think it's really easy to skip over some of this in between stuff where it doesn't look pretty to us because we have an expectation of what it should look like. Okay. So really getting to the depths of this. And the depths are here. The depths are all around us. First of all, we just came out of Libra season. There's a lot of stuff going on with Libra. The new moon in Libra, um, damn. I mean, everybody I know was having extremely intense realizations about the relationships that they're in, who they are in relationship, sort of the expectations that are flowing one way or the other, and how they were met or unmet. Maybe you really had to kind of stand your ground, try to figure out how to be firm and loving at the same time, how to say, I don't have this thing you're looking for from me. I can't give that to you. We all have to give ourselves the validation that we're looking for. But that doesn't mean that we can't ever lean on each other, or you get what I'm saying. There's a lot to Libra. I think that we can tend to get caught up on like, oh, Libra loves harmony, justice, and balance. Like that's all true. But there's also this really messy side to Libra where we see more of what is going on in our relationships and where that comes from. And that can be really hard to be with. But I think if we give ourselves the self-compassion when it comes up, when we notice our patterns, and the things that we are expecting from other people and projecting onto other people, if we give ourselves that self-compassion, we can also give others, we can see like, oh, that's not you. That's just this expectation that you hold from whether it's societal programming or familial stuff of the past or whatever, a combination of those things. um, Moving into Scorpio season, we're sort of sitting in the depths of that very watery relational realization. And that's not necessarily an easy place to be, especially if you are not spiritually bypassing what all of that is. I find that even as a person with a lot of Scorpio placements in my chart, that I can yearn for Sagittarius season, which is much more forward thinking. It's fiery, it's exciting because you're thinking about you've sat in these dark and difficult maybe realizations, and you're thinking about what you want to bring into the next year. You're thinking about directionality. Sagittarius has that arrow and is related to Jupiter, so very expansive, very much like the ultimate Sagittarius I think of as Jack Sparrow, Captain Jack Sparrow. um he's an adventurer. He is seeking the truth, and that is very exciting. So it can be easy to bypass Scorpio. I'm telling you this as a Scorpio rising, a Scorpio North node, and other Scorpio things. There can be a temptation to quickly move beyond this energy. But one of the things about transformation is that we get what we give. So if you can let yourself, I feel really called to speak about this right now because of this crazy effective water trine that's happening, combined with the fact that we just moved into Scorpio season, combined with the fact that we're moving into 2026 and we have like all of these various uh, stories and prophecies aligning. If you know about the eagle and the condor prophecy or the Hopi blue star prophecy, um, if you're into human design, you know that we're moving into is it the cross of the rising phoenix? But that's directly related to stepping into our own autonomy and our own inner authority. So I want to give you this right now because I think it's good to lay that groundwork and get more rooted and grounded in whatever these realizations that are coming up with this water stuff. It's not that you have to make sense of it right now. It's not that you have to put it all together into this thing that you can use to explain to yourself or other people what is happening. It's it is water. It is flowing, and it will move through us if we want it to. We can move with it if we want to. So Jupiter in Cancer is challenging for us in this culture. I talked about it 2 videos ago if you want to go and check that out. I'm sure other people have done really beautiful work on Jupiter and Cancer also. But anything to do with ancestry, roots, the home, domestic life, the mother, how was your experience of being mothered? Are there things there for you to take a look at that are asking to be heard? Is your inner child asking to be heard related to the foundations of this life that you've built and what is nurturing to you. Especially if you're a mother yourself and you're working on things related to that. I'm not saying this is easy, y'all. This is really deep work. So if you're in that right now, I feel that. So Jupiter's trine with Saturn and Pisces. What have you learned about spiritual discernment? What are you learning right now about spiritual discernment? Because Saturn's been in Pisces, yes, but currently is retrograde. So this is the perfect time to reflect. Anytime a planet is in retrograde, we are reflecting on that period. Um, really, really beautiful stuff. Neptune as well is also retrograde. Neptune in Pisces. Pisces is the sign of spirituality and divine love. And it can be a little foggy. That's the thing. The Saturn and Neptune conjunction that's happening here is foggy AF. Like, especially if you are not able or haven't been able to develop that spiritual discernment. It's very easy to get distracted. One thing about Neptune, so all of these archetypes contain within them the shadow, like I was saying. One of the shadows of Neptune is addiction, illusion, and delusion. So we have this higher love and this spirituality side of it, which is something that we're all learning about. We're all learning about what is love really, because sometimes it doesn't feel affirming, especially not at first, because maybe we're not used to it. Maybe we're not used to feeling love. So there's a lot of that there with Neptune. So Neptune is retrograde in its home sign of Pisces. And whenever I believe Neptune is moving out of Pisces in April of next year. There is a specific date next February, I believe, where we have an exact, so maybe it's April. Okay, I'll just have to I will find out for you the date of the official Saturn Neptune conjunction next year because it's really big. And one of the reasons it's really big is that it's at the beginning of Aries. It's at 0 degrees of Aries. So the beginning of the zodiac. Okay. So this is a new beginning related to Saturn, whoever he is. He's the authority figure. He's the father, the teacher, the judge. He is the system. Ultimately, one of the secrets is we are the system. We are creating this experience. So we can either give in to, oh, the system is evil, or we can say, oh, we actually have a responsibility to co-create this world that we live in. And you don't have to agree with me on any of this, by the way. I'm just giving you my understanding. I've been working with Saturn for the last 3 years, so he's been schooling me. But so we have this conjunction. I'm going to put the date. The conjunction roughly aligns with a lot of these prophecies. 0 degrees of Aries is a new beginning. So we have the new beginning related to the Saturn archetype and also related to the Neptune archetype of divine love, spirituality, and oneness. I can't tell you that this is magically going to take us from a place of X to a place of Y. There will still be people who have different ideas about these things. Addictions, delusions, illusions. It's up to you as to what those things are, what those things might be. But it's a good time to reflect on all of those things. And it's very supportive right now. Okay, so our other member of the trine is Mars and Scorpio, who we love. Mars is a planet of action. So he is essentially led by Venus. So this is the divine masculine, divine feminine thing. And if you don't like the gender gender roles, I don't blame you. That's fine, but that's not really what I'm talking about here. And if you listen to stuff about divine masculine, divine feminine, you probably already know that. It's just sort of an archetypical energy. Okay, so Mars and Scorpio is really driven, basically taking the depths of these realizations and everything that we're feeling and doing something with it. So that's one of the reasons I'm here right now. My chart ruler is Mars, and today is Tuesday. It is the day of Mars, in fact. Um, Tuesday is Martes in Spanish. There's more I could say, but I've just realized now that that's, probably why I'm on here talking to you about this specific thing in the sky. But Mars in Scorpio is cool. I don't have Mars in Scorpio, but I like the idea of being in this really watery depths where it's like maybe I'm not making all of the right choices, but I'm working with this energy in some way. So maybe I drink a Mountain Dew, or maybe I snap at my husband or whatever, but that doesn't mean that I don't choose to co-create with this moment and with this energy. I don't have to make sense of the whole thing. I just have to work with whatever it is that wants to move through me. That's what I'm getting with Mars and Scorpio. So there is an intensity to it. There is, if you haven't practiced being on the receiving end of a reaction to, if you are doing a lot of masking in social situations, which I would say uh, I'm unmasking still. I'm learning how to do this, in front of y'all, on another layer, right? Because I've been doing it for a while, but at the same time, there's more. There's always more. That's one of my points here. When you take off another mask, especially if you're doing it in front of other people, you will receive a different type of energy from them. They will receive a different type of energy from you. And the sharpness of that, okay, this is related to the sting of the scorpion and the transformation that ensues when you kind of just allow that to happen instead of resisting it. So there is this really amazing opportunity here. Mars moves quicker than Jupiter and Neptune and Saturn. So this is really why I'm highlighting this, because this Saturn and Neptune conjunction, they've been roughly conjunct for a while now, and they will continue to be roughly conjunct. So you can work with them. You can continue to work with that energy. It will just become more and more potent leading up to, I don't remember if it's February or April when we have that conjunction at 0 degrees of Aries. That's the new beginning. Okay. And then Jupiter in Cancer, you still got more than 6 months to work with that, but it's powerful stuff. So Mars moves through the entire zodiac in about 2 years. So spends about 2 months in a sign. And the exact trine is always the most, I don't want to say it's the best time to like do something with this energy, but it feels like the sharpest. It's at this point, right? Where like it's being felt. And there's nothing you can do about that. So it's best to move with it if you can. Um, and yeah, so what else do I want to say? What else do I want to say? Okay, so that's some of the harder stuff here. There is also, yeah, that's hard too. Okay, kind of lied to you a little bit. There's a Moon and Pluto are both opposing Jupiter in Cancer. Wow, look at this. Moon is in Capricorn right now, opposing Pluto in Cancer. So let me practice with you going around this wheel and telling you the other energies that are affecting this big, because that's the main thing I wanted to talk to you about, okay? The trine. But I want to let you clue you in on some of the other influences on this. The moon moves really fast, like moves through a sign in a couple of days. Literally 2.5 days, the moon moves through a sign. So this is changing, but right now, like literally, today, there's like this specific thing. So the moon is opposing Jupiter in Cancer from Capricorn. And so how are your emotional and spiritual needs, whether those are perceived or real, affecting your ability to explore the foundations of your home, um, where you come from, and like what it is you're building upon? Is there some kind of tension there? Could it possibly relate to the ways that you believe things need to happen? That's kind of Capricorn. We were talking about Saturn earlier. It's Capricorn as an authority figure. So some of us instinctively resist authority. And I don't personally believe that's a bad thing, but is there a way that you can tap into that inner authority rather than focusing so much on resisting? Pluto is here. And he's in Aquarius. So that's the sign of the collective, of just like humanity, like the entire species, basically. Pluto recently changed signs as well. I think I'm going to talk about that in a different video. But there's new energy here too, so that can feel strange in a certain way. Pluto is related to our unconscious, personal, and collective. Pluto is related to issues of power and control. A lot of this will show up in our lives as the ways that we actually seek to be powerless. Um, One of the reasons we do that is because we don't want the responsibility of agency in our lives, and we seek to give that to others. Um, that is a very If you sit with these watery teachings of this trine, you may be led to some of your Plutonian stuff, which is going to depend on your chart and how Pluto is interacting, in your natal chart and stuff like that. But transiting Pluto is opposing Jupiter. So what is it about power and control and Aquarius, the collective, that may be causing tension with your ability to be with whatever is happening with the foundations of your life, which include, that's why it's related to the mother. A lot of this stuff is too close to home for us to see sometimes, but if you're willing to go there, it becomes really apparent. What else? Okay, yeah, I'll talk about this one. We have Venus and Libra opposing Chiron and Aries. Okay, so Chiron, he's like the wounded healer, and Chiron has an elliptical orbit. He spends the longest time, I believe, in Aries. And so Chiron is a wound of the self. It's a not trusting yourself, not feeling like you have really the right to be here or to be a part of the shaping of the world. Like what you have to say is just not relevant in some way, shape, or form. So this is collectively is where he is right now. And he's opposing Venus and Libra, which is Venus and Libra is um, supportive of all of this stuff, ultimately trying to get what it is that we want through balanced relationships with others. I find it interesting that she's here right after the end of Libra season. So it's sort of like we've had these kind of realizations about our own bullshit and or other people's bullshit in relationships, and we're sort of like, okay, what was happening with that? And um, Venus is so interesting. I gotta do a separate video on Venus because I can't go on a tangent right now. I'm not supposed to. Yeah, but Venus is holding this just like gentle awareness of what do we want, like with these relationships that we have. Is there balance? In what ways am I self-sacrificing? Um, in what ways am I asking other people to meet my expectations? And how is that related to, how could that be related to a wound that I have within myself about my own perceived shortcomings? I think that's the main things here. I'll point out to y'all as well that Lilith is opposing Uranus, which I think is really interesting because both of them can be quite fast moving. Lilith is instinctive and have lots more to say on Lilith. Uranus is extremely fast moving realizations. It's usually mental stuff and things related to technology. So there's an opposition here between our instincts and whatever technology is doing. A lot of this involves communication. But yeah, Mercury and Lilith both here opposing Uranus, who is about to move retrograde back into Taurus. And I'll have to do another video about that because I've written about that and I have lots to share on what's going on there. Okay, yeah, I'm going to stop the video here. I think I've said enough for now. I want to leave you with an ask to be kind with yourself, whatever is coming up. You are not wrong. You are not any pain that shows up now or in the near future, or as you're having certain realizations about things, it doesn't have to equate to shame. Some of you believe that we signed up for certain things. And that can be a really helpful lens to view this stuff through. So if you learn something new and you feel like you should have known that already, or that maybe you knew this and you just weren't able to commit to it for some reason, and you're feeling some type of way about that, you're feeling guilt, you're feeling shame, allow yourself to be with the potentiality that you signed up to learn this lesson in a certain way. One thing about the things that we learn, especially the things we learn the hard way, is that those become the things that we can share with others so that they can either avoid some of the same mistakes that we made and or feel not alone in whatever pain that they experienced or are experiencing. So I know that everything happens for a reason. And if you're feeling the impetus to be harsh on yourself, Know that that is not you. That's a program. And I want to say that any of y'all who have prominent Saturn placements, he's gone through some shit during our lifetime. Our image of masculinity and authority is deeply sick. And I know that you all know that. But there's a lot of insanity and just not love that is mixed in with our understandings of what masculinity is and what authority is and what the correct use of power is. And I just want you to know that it's not your fault, whatever is coming up. It's not your fault. And I hope that there's a lot of water around us right now, like I said. Grab your floaties, grab your blankets, watch your favorite movies, okay? I think I'm going to be hitting Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm not going to lie. Um, Light the candle, like take the bath, like read the smutty book or whatever your thing is. Um, but so grab your journal, be with this stuff. The sooner you can sit down and ask, okay, what do you need to say? What is it that I haven't allowed you to express to me? The sooner that that part of you can feel heard, that part of you can feel like it's not being pushed away or demonized, or that part of you can feel like it has the right to exist and to express whatever is coming through. And so if you're experiencing fear, I feel for you. And I hope that you can ask for the support that you need, or that you can give yourself the support that you need to move through this time right now. Because what I can promise you is no matter what happens next year at that Saturn Neptune conjunction, or no matter what happens in a decade from now or 2 decades from now, you're going to be so glad that you're doing this work. And you already know that because you've already done so much of the work. But that's what I want to say today. I'll be back to say more, I'm sure. But yeah, I'll see you again soon. Stay hydrated. Give yourself whatever it is that you need right now to be with the moment. All right, bye.